Okay, today we're going to be writing about the Vikings. Our writing prompt is, how would you describe a Viking? Choose three main ideas to explore. We're going to write a multi-paragraph essay explaining your choices using evidence from the informational articles. You may use this paper to organize the information you gathered from the Viking articles. So the first thing we have to do is choose three ways to describe the Vikings, and we're going to use brave, hardworking, and fierce. So when we talk about the topic paragraph, we're going to use two sentences. So we're going to start with a question, and we're going to do, have you ever heard of the Vikings? And then we're going to use a sentence with our three paragraph ideas. The Vikings were brave, hardworking, and fierce warriors. Now, the next thing that we need to do is we need to take notes on brave, hardworking, and fierce. So we're going to call one article A1 and the other article A2. Our A1 article is going to be our Viking information sheet, and our A2 article is going to be the day in the life of a Viking. So the notes that we're going to take from A1 are they like to raid and plunder. And this is from A1. They explored new lands to settle. And this actually comes from A1 and A2. And then the last item we're going to use is they fished for food in bitter cold winter. And this comes from A1. For hardworking, our day in the life of the Vikings, they talked about weaving baskets, and make blankets from sheepskin. And that was A2. They worked on their boats. And this came from A2. And they built their own longhouses. This came from Article A1. The last topic or characteristic that we're going to talk about is being fierce, and they were called berserkers. And they wore wolf skins in battle. We got this from A2 and A1. They were terrifying in battle. We got this from Article A1. And then we also found one of the characteristics is that Vikings were very intimidating. Okay, so we've talked about each of the characteristics: brave, hardworking, and fierce. To finish the graphic organizer, we need to write a closing paragraph. So we're going to use either in conclusion or as you can see are going to be our sentence starters. So we're going to do as you can see, comma, Vikings were brave, hardworking, and fierce. So we restated our topic. In our topic sentence, we used the Vikings were brave, hardworking, and fierce warriors. Look up at the top. And then we just restated it, starting with, as you can see, the Vikings were brave, hardworking, and fierce. Then we need to round everything together and give a statement about what we believe or our opinion. So we'll write, I believe the Vikings were very important to history. So once again, in our graphic organizer, we came up with our two topic sentences from our writing prompt. We chose three characteristics of the Vikings that we read about. They were brave, hardworking, and fierce. We took notes on each of those, stating what source we used. Then we tied everything together with our closing paragraph. As you can see, the Vikings were brave, hardworking, and fierce. I believe that the Vikings were a very important part in history. So after we get our graphic organizer done, what we'll do is we're going to put it all together in a paragraph form. So I used from my graphic organizer my topic sentence and question. Have you ever heard of the Vikings? Question mark. They were a group of fierce, hardworking, and brave people. My first paragraph starts out with, did you know that the Vikings were fierce warriors? As stated in Article 2, comma, berserkers wore wolfskins in battle. They were terrifying in battle. Lastly, comma, Vikings were very intimidating. So we used a comma after each of these because it's a transition into our next thought. And we picked up each of these off of our graphic organizer. The second paragraph is going to be about the Vikings being hardworking. The Vikings were also hardworking. According to Article 2, comma, they worked on building boats. Next, comma, they wove baskets and made their own clothes. Finally, comma, they built their own longhouses. Once again, we're using transition words. According to Article 2, comma, and that's telling where we're getting our information, we're using next with a comma as a transition and then the word finally to transition to our last thought. The next paragraph is about Vikings being brave. Vikings were very brave. First, comma, according to Article 1, comma, they would raid and plunder. Next, comma, once again using a transition word, Vikings explored new lands to settle in. Finally, they fished for food in bitter winter. As you can see, comma, the Vikings were brave, hardworking, and fierce. I believe the Vikings were a very important part of history. So after you've written your paragraphs, the next and final step will be to type this.